The color, the movement, the emotion of every single shell is different. And we match the fireworks to every beat of music, every second of the show.
So how do you design a fireworks?
Well, how do you design a fireworks show? So it's quite exciting. So it's a performance that we're designing. It's somewhat of a hybrid of a live dance performance and a sculpture or painting, if you will, because the medium that we use is the fireworks, right? The color, the movement, the emotion of every single shell is different. This particular program for TD Bank, it's in Nassau County on Long Island. It is a 23-minute, 43-second aerial audio track. And in this show, we're not only including fireworks, aerial show fireworks in this stage here, low, delicate type pyrotechnics up by the pond. We also have 300 drones on this program to integrate, LED drones to integrate into the show. So that's part of the medium. And now we listen to that music. We listen to all 23 minutes of the performance, and we match the fireworks to every beat of music, every second of the show. Every firework has a different characteristic to it, a different personality. Some are big, loud, very Baroque. Some of them are very soft and delicate. You can't hear them, but you could see them, and they're more beautiful and more elegant. So when the music is soft and bold, when the music is loud and bold and Baroque-like, Stars and Stripes, for example, a lot of horns, a lot of movement. The fireworks have to be the same way. Then you have Small America the Beautiful, starts off very soft, and you can hear the clarinets in the beginning. It's very soft, and the fireworks will match that. So it takes about an hour for every minute of design time that you see in the sky. So a program like this takes a full 23 to 24 hours working with the software that we have so we can visualize the movement, we can visualize the overlap, the height, the balance of the colors and things of that nature. And as precise as every single shell in the show, multiple thousands of shells will be fired here. Every one of them has a circuit. Every one of them has an angle and a pan direction that they get fired in. So naturally, a drawing and the information that comes from the design has to be created so the pyrotechnicians that are out in the field, those are the people that are trained to install the equipment, the electronics, the computer systems, they know which firework shell to put inside of which mortar to wire to which circuit. And that's another process that supports the design.
I can't believe it's like that much involvement in doing it. I always just imagined it was like, it's just some guy back there, like, all right, blue one, green one.
Yeah, well, the days, we had back in the 70s and 80s and even the early part of the 90s, we did fire the fireworks with a torch. You'd see that traditional pyrotechnician out there with the red dot running around and lighting fireworks. But the programs then weren't as precise as they are now. The choreography for with music, and then to integrate in the design of this show, integrate 300 drones to have the American flag in the sky when it needs to be. The days of the manual firing has kind of gone away from a safety perspective as well as from a precision perspective.
For the show that you're prepping for right now that's in the background, like how many fire?
Oh, there's over 3,500 different devices that'll be firing in 23 minutes. So you do that math on how many fireworks per second. But we really don't look at a show on how many shells that we would fire in a particular program. It's like asking somebody that creates a beautiful painting, how many buckets of paint did you use to create that, right? You can have a situation where too much of a good thing is a bad thing. You have white out. If it's too many different colors on top of each other, it basically whites out. And then we have pyrotechnics. We have fireworks. Fire and pyro does result in some element of smoke. So if you fire in a very humid environment, like here in New York in the summer, it's very humid, northern and northeast. So if you fire a whole bunch of fireworks in the sky, you're going to get smoke in the first 5 minutes, and then the next 15, 20 minutes, you don't see anything. It's because it's obliterated by the smoke.
So, like, every artist kind of has their own signature style, right? Like, is there a signature style that you would say that you have?
Sure. We have a signature scene, which is with the use of a shell called the golden flitter split comet. And it's a shell that my father kind of advanced to use it in a sequence that's always just before the grand finale. The shell goes up, and when it bursts, it looks like a gold twinkling spider where the legs are coming out, and it kind of descends. And then just as you think it's going to extinguish, all the tips of those tentacles all split again, hence the golden flitter splitting comet. And he developed that type of a scene, and we fire them generally right just as a prelude to the grand finale. And another scene that something that we're known for is the Grucci grand finale, is making sure that at the end of the grand finale, the show is over. It's so powerful that certainly their eyes are wide open, the mouth is wide open, and they're looking for more. And that's kind of the part of the artesianness that we have, is to let them go away just wanting a little bit more, and they'll come back for the next one. What are you gonna do differently? That's our biggest challenge.
How did you feel initially about drones? How do you feel now? Was it something that people such as yourself kind of resisted and it was like, okay, we just gonna have to do this? Or
When they first came out, you have to credit Intel when they started first coming out with these large fleets of controlled patterns that they were creating with drones. We knew that was a technology we need to embrace. So we went out and bought 500 drones that we have in our fleet, and we have them, and we have access to thousands of them if we needed to get to a bigger show. And the first year, which was 7 years ago, we set and established the Guinness World Record for the most UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicles, with pyrotechnics on them. So it was a show that we produced in Ras Al Khaimah in the Middle East, and it had the drones that had pyro on them. We just got permission here in the United States through the FAA to be able to attach pyrotechnics just this month on them here in the United States. But over in the UAE, we were able to get permission earlier, and we set the Guinness World Record for the most drones with pyrotechnics on them. And then this last New Year's Eve, we just had a line of drones that were about 3 miles long, and they had over 1,000 pyrotechnic devices on them. So we embraced, to answer your question, when that technology came out, we immediately embraced it, have been using them for some time now.
when you look at kind of, fireworks design, are there a lot of people slash companies doing this or just
There's about, in the United States, there's about 200 firework companies in the United States. What there's about 3 or 4 that are the size of ours, and that are busy all year long.
what do you like about it?
What I like about the design part of it is certainly you have the control of the emotion of the audience that you have at any moment. You know when you're going to have them calm. You know when you're going to have them on their toes, and you know when you're going to really put them over the top. And it's a joy to be able to have a medium that has the energy that it has. What's the attraction to fireworks? The attraction is it touches on all senses, right? On your sight, on your smell, on your touch. You feel it on your skin, your hearing. And in some cases, if you have your mouth open and the wind is blowing that way, a little bit of smoke, you may taste it also a little bit, as compared to just a drone show, right? The lights in the drone show. But what I love about it is putting all of those mediums together and watch the reaction of the crowd. But what I love about it is the emotion, and we're always involved in something that's celebratory, even a funeral. We have been contracted to be at funerals where the people that deceased, they want their guests and their family and their friends to come celebrate their lives. So we're very fortunate that I love getting up, going to work. I love when you create something and you turn around and you look at the audience, and you look at the children, and you look at the older people, and they all have the same expression on their face. And for that period of time, if the show is 23 minutes long, no one's down here texting. No one's worrying about things that are going on around the world right now. And we could use that kind of therapy where you have a 20-minute period or so where you're with your family, you're with your friends. It's generally a free event. It's outdoors. Where do you have that now? Or where do you get that freely like that?
Are you ready for some harder slash listener submitted questions?
Absolutely.
Hardest firework to make, easiest firework to make.
Well, the hardest color to make in a firework is blue. And that has all to do with the chemistry and the temperature that you burn the copper, which is the fuel in that composition. If you burn it too hot, it turns white. If you burn it too cool, it will extinguish and it won't sustain. The hardest firework to make, larger caliber fireworks, naturally, as compared to the smaller ones, and now fireworks that don't have any debris, because when you make a firework device or a pyrotechnic device and put it on the roof of a building or on a truss that's on the foreground, of the audience, right upstage, it has to be precise. There can't be any fallout. So those are the harder, low debris, good quality colors, shells that burst. If they're supposed to be spherical, they burst spherical. They're not oblong, and the patterns have got to be perfect.
Most you've ever set off at one time?
Just under 1 million fireworks in 8 minutes. In 8 minutes, it was in Dubai, and we fired from 133 of the world islands, which are the man-made islands in the shape of the Earth. 250 pontoons, floating platforms to create the outline of the fronds of the palm on Palm Island. 55 semi-trailers that were on the circular area, the crescent around the palm, and we had 13,000 fireworks, pyrotechnics that we fired on the Burj Khalifa all at one time. That had 250 pyrotechnicians for a little over a month.
I just did the math on that. That's 2,083 fireworks a second.
Oh yeah, well, the space that we covered, it sounds like a large quantity per second, but when you spread it out the way we spread it out on those 133 islands that were 13 miles in circumference, the Palm Island is 8 miles in circumference, and you spread that out. Think about something that's 8 miles away from you, and envision fireworks continuously connecting one to the next that distance.
I'm assuming that July 4th is the busiest day.
New Year's Eve, believe it or not, is a larger holiday than 4th of July for us, or the 4th of Independence Day week, because the world celebrates New Year's Eve. So we're in Belgrade, Serbia, we're in Dubai, we're in Ras Al Khaimah, we're in Saudi Arabia, we're in Europe, and obviously in the United States. Las Vegas is a massive fireworks show, the biggest one in the country that we've been producing for 20 years now, called America's Party. On midnight, we're on $17 billion worth of real estate on the rooftops of the buildings down the strip.
Do you see, obviously, drones was kind of the most recent big trend that I can think of. Do you see another big change coming?
The drones are they're certainly the most recent trends, the drones, and then how they're used. In the beginning, they're just LED drones. Naturally, the introduction of pyrotechnics. We are working with some technology to put lasers on them and lights on them, not the LED light that's static, but actually a beam of light coming off them, and other items that you can place onto the drone or drop it from the drone. So the drones are going to continue to increase the effectiveness, but they don't have that power, on their own. They're great to put a very accurate logo in the sky. They're great to put some beautiful three-dimensional shape that we put fireworks around. But on their own, they become somewhat commercialized, a little bit too commercialized, without having the organic, feel, smell, taste, and look of a fireworks show. There's actually a lot of cities now they took that path 2 years ago and went to drones, and then the demand from the audience's side was bring back the fireworks. John Adams in 1776 penned to his wife that we shall celebrate with bonfires and illumination from coast to coast, celebrate our independence, and the bonfires and illumination meant fireworks, not drones.
Last question for you. Do you have any tips for people watching a fireworks show? Like, you should be in the center, or you should be on the left side or the right side.
So depending on the size of the show and the size of the fireworks that they have, if you're 600, 700 to 1,000 feet away from a fireworks show, you're comfortably looking at it on a on a 30-degree angle, not on a 60, 70, 80, 90-degree angle, because you're so close to it. If it is choreographed to music, make sure you're either near the sound system or you have the radio, because a lot of the times you'll have a choreographed performance that's synchronized to a radio station, so you can hear it on the radio. From a technical perspective, look at the show and see how the tempo is, see what the combination, the mixture is, see if it's actually really choreographed to music. Now look at those blues and purples. Those are the hardest colors to get, and that'll give you an indication of the quality of the show that you're watching. It's not all bang, bang, bang all the time. Look at the scenes and how it transitions from one scene, a nice gold palm tree scene, to a red strobing ring shell scene, and a Komoro, a big gold willow scene, things like that. Look at how the show transitions, like a ballet, like a performance. That actually it is a form of art, so enjoy it.
Thanks for checking out this episode of Profoundly Pointless. Would love to hear from you, so comment below if you have an idea, feedback, or suggestion. Subscribe for more and explore something new. I'm so awkward.